Peter Parker was just your average high school outcast, nerdy, awkward, and hopelessly in love with his next-door neighbor, Mary Jane Watson. He lived with his kind, but struggling Aunt May and Uncle Ben, who always did their best to provide for him. But Peter wanted more. He dreamed of being noticed, of having a purpose, beyond just being the kid everyone ignored or bullied. Then came the day that changed everything. On a school field trip to a genetics lab, Peter found himself lost in thought as he watched scientists work on genetically modified spiders. He was too busy sneaking glances at Mary Jane to notice when one of the creatures, red and blue with intricate patterns on its back, silently descended onto his hand. Then, a sharp sting. Pain flared through his skin as the spider bit him before scurrying away. He swatted at his hand, barely paying it any mind. But that night, his body transformed. The next morning, Peter woke up feeling different. His head no longer ached, his glasses were suddenly useless, and his once scrawny frame now rippled with muscle. At first, he thought he was dreaming, but as the day unfolded, new powers emerged. He could cling to walls, sense danger before it happened, and even shoot webbing from his wrists. He was faster, stronger, more agile than he had ever imagined. The shy, awkward Peter Parker was gone. With these newfound abilities, a dangerous thought crept into Peter's mind. What if he used them to change his life? Determined to impress Mary Jane, he stumbled upon a flyer, a wrestling competition offering a $3,000 prize to anyone who could last 3 minutes in the ring. A plan formed. He would win the money, buy a car, and finally catch Mary Jane's eye. On the night of the fight, he donned a makeshift costume and faced off against the reigning champion, Bonesaw. The audience roared as Peter dodged every attack, leaping effortlessly over his opponent before finally knocking him out cold. But when the match was over, the shady organizers shorted him on his prize. Furious, Peter was about to argue when a thief burst in, robbing the man at gunpoint. Peter stepped aside, letting him escape. It wasn't his problem. Why should he care? But fate had other plans. Uncle Ben had been shot, killed by a carjacker. And when Peter chased the killer down in a blind rage, he made a chilling discovery. It was the very same thief he had let go earlier that night. He had the power to stop him, and he didn't. His uncle's words echoed in his mind. With great power comes great responsibility. Grief and guilt consumed him, but they also fueled him. That night, Spider-Man was born. Meanwhile, Peter's best friend, Harry Osborn, struggled under the shadow of his father, Norman Osborn, a brilliant yet ruthless scientist and CEO of Oscorp. Desperate to prove himself, Norman took a dangerous risk, injecting himself with an unstable super soldier serum. The results? Superhuman strength, agility, and madness. His mind fractured, giving birth to a monstrous alter ego, the Green Goblin. As Peter embraced his destiny, swinging through the city and stopping crime, the Goblin had his own twisted mission: revenge. After the Oscorp board betrayed him, he obliterated them in a fiery massacre at a public event. Spider-Man arrived just in time to save the innocent, including Mary Jane, who found herself captivated by her mysterious masked hero. But the Goblin wasn't finished. Realizing Spider-Man was the only one standing in his way, he made an offer: join him or suffer. When Peter refused, the Goblin declared war. He struck first, terrorizing Aunt May, leaving her hospitalized. Then he went after Mary Jane, kidnapping her and dragging her to the top of the Roosevelt Bridge. But the nightmare didn't end there. He also sabotaged a trolley full of innocent children, forcing Peter to make an impossible choice: save Mary Jane or save the children. But Peter wasn't just any hero. With unwavering determination, he saved them both. The Goblin, enraged, pulled Spider-Man into a brutal, relentless battle. Blow after blow, Spider-Man fought back, but the Goblin was merciless. He pummeled Peter, sending him crashing through walls, blood staining his suit. Victory seemed certain, until he made a fatal mistake. He threatened Mary Jane. Fueled by fury, Peter unleashed his full strength, beating the goblin down. But as Norman removed his mask, revealing his true self, he made one last, desperate move, sending his jet glider speeding toward Peter. In the final moment, Peter dodged. The glider struck Norman instead, impaling him. With a heavy heart, Peter brought Norman's lifeless body home, only for Harry to walk in, witnessing the horror. Seeing Spider-Man standing over his father's corpse, Harry's grief turned to hatred. He vowed revenge, swearing to make Spider-Man pay, never realizing the man he hated most was his best friend. At Norman's funeral, Mary Jane confessed her love to Peter. But Peter, knowing the dangers of his life, walked away. As he stood alone, watching over the city, he embraced his destiny. Who am I? I'm Spider-Man,